we always say. So that's all we got for NBA playoffs thus far. Very exciting. I'll have a lot more time to watch them now. It's been a bit of a busier week for me, so you'll expect much more coming from this. But moving on, NFL draft tomorrow. Um, Honestly, this has been one of my weaker years in terms of evaluating prospects. It's been a big year for the Giants. I like a lot of guys. There's a lot of good options. Any of the receivers. I already did my Giants minute. I'm a Caleb. Well, this works for across the league. I'm a Caleb Williams and a Drake May truther. I like both of them. I don't like any of the other quarterbacks, especially not in the first round. I wouldn't take any of the other quarterbacks in the first round, in all honesty. Um, and yeah, that's pretty much what I got. And don't expect me to give you a bunch of in-depth analysis this year, but for Jaden Daniels, here's the thing I'll say: he takes too many sacks. He holds on to the ball too much. I question his decision making. JJ McCarthy, I question his load. How much has he really done? He can throw over the middle of the field, yeah, but I don't know. I I don't like him at all. But yeah, I think it's a pretty good draft class for linemen and wide receivers, which is kind of what we need. So that's what I have to say about that.
Yeah, I made a I don't know if you did. I made like a full first round like mock. Um, we can go through it if you want. We can like skim it, whatever. But yeah, I will say this draft has like a lot of talent, like a lot of good players. I think QB wise, um, I don't know. I feel like Jaden Daniels will turn out to be a pretty good player. He's talented. Like his ceiling could certainly be like a Lamar Jackson. I know he's coming in to the league much older, but like he is obviously extremely mobile, has a pretty solid arm. Uh, so we'll see how he turns out. Obviously, Drake May, very high ceiling, shades of Justin Herbert is what everyone's comparing him to, and it's a ceiling. Not out of the question. Caleb, obviously super talented. JJ, yeah, I think he could be a game manager. Like he could be like an Alex Smith, um, if put in the right position. But I don't know if he's ever going to be the guy that really like um, truly leads you. But yeah, and then you mentioned O line. Yeah, this class for O lineman and receiver, I think my mock has like six O linemen going in the first round, which is like kind of crazy. Um,
Yeah, I did quickly
but yeah,
make a mock
those are my
draft.
like
Like
first
I
things to
said,
play.
this year didn't get into it as much as I did in previous years, which I guess is kind of weird just because six is where the Giants are picking. So you'd think that I got into it more, but then I did. Yeah, I don't know. I can try and share the screen if you want, just so we have some semblance of draft order and whatever, but it's up to you. I did it on my computer. Okay. Green.
Yeah, sure.
No, that's fine. I mean, we only need one anyway. You
Mine's on
can
my phone, but I'll just like go
tweak
through it.
this as much as you want. Um, you can see that good, well, right? Okay. Okay. So I have Caleb Williams number
Yeah,
one.
it looks good.
Obviously, I think you also have Caleb Williams number one. Generational talent, can play out of structure very well. I'll be interested to see. I think he can play in structure well as well, but I'll be interested to see what happens with him and how he's coached earlier in his career. Um, I have Jaden Daniels too. Maybe it's smoke and mirrors with all the agent stuff because I've heard a lot of Commanders Jaden Daniels stuff, but I also heard his agent say something along the lines of, "We don't like the Commanders anymore." So I don't know. It's also kind of wishful thinking because, like I said, I'm not high on Jaden Daniels, and I am high on the Commanders drafting the wrong guy. That's what I'm high on. So that's where I'm at with that. And then I just went Drake May to the Patriots. Although honestly, I could see the Patriots not taking a QB here. Um, if that happens, I'd expect one of the Giants, Vikings, Broncos to probably come trade up for the guy. But yeah, that's where I have top three, and then Marv at four.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Caleb won, and I have Marv four. I flipped the two Daniels and May. Um, I guess that like based on like the odds right now on the books, like Jane Daniels is a pretty heavy favorite to go two. I just think like if you're in the commander's position, at least I guess me personally would be going very much for a guy with like a higher upside, someone that can truly like change your entire team. Uh, and Drake May is like 2 or 3 years younger than Daniels, and he's bigger. He's just got all the tools that could totally turn into like a generational QB. And Daniels could obviously be a very good player too, but I just think Drake May has like a bigger boom like area. So that's why I had him going two and Jaden three.
Yeah,
But then
like I
yeah, same
said, a
four
little bit of
players in
wishful
the top
thinking
four.
there, but I'll just sort of slide down. Let's see. Chargers, I have them taking Malik Neighbors, although honestly, more I think about it, I might lean Joe Alt for them because Harbaugh, I feel like he'd love a big new tackle in the first round. That just seems like it fits to me. The reason I went Neighbors was first off, I've seen them linked to Neighbors a good amount. Second off, they have no receivers. Like the receiving core is like probably worse than the Giants at this point. And obviously, as you can see at six, I have the Giants taking Rome Odunze. Um, I have heard all three receivers a lot for the Giants. I've heard it just about everybody for the Giants. I really like Rome. Part of that's a little bit because I took the Washington became my team of the year, similarly to how TCU was my team of the year previously. Although I was actually early on Washington, I don't think I was early on TCU at all. Um, but so yeah, I'd love to have Rome on my team. I think he'd be a good big target for Daniel Jones to thrive with and return to eliteness. But no, and then I got the Titans taking Joe Alt. Go protect Will Levis. I guess that's kind of where I got with that. But if the Chargers did take Joe Alt, it's probably Olu there. I don't know. That's probably where I'd go. So that's what I got.
Mm. So you mentioned you in your mock you have the Chargers taking a receiver. You mentioned them possibly taking an O lineman because
Oh,
that's a Harbaugh thing. I went best of both worlds, Brock Bowers to the Chargers. First of all, I love Brock Bowers. I'm super high on him. I honestly think he could be like the best player from this draft. I think he comes into the league and is immediately a top three, definitely top five, maybe top three tight end. I love him. The way he moved at Georgia, like he's just such a good tight end. I love watching him. And then that means I have Neighbors going six to the Giants. Uh, Giants, they're probably going to go receiver. Just and there's the two, maybe three, very good receivers in this class. So yeah. I'd also Joe Alt going seven to the Titans. Uh, they got their receivers. They have D Hop and Ridley. So Joe Alt is both something they need and like best available. And then at eight, we have similar ideas for the Falcons. I went to Dallas Turner though instead of Latu, however you pronounce that. Um, yeah, that's where I stand. I guess we can fill out the top 10. The Bears at nine, I have them going with Fashanu, however you pronounce his last name. Um, if you're going to take Caleb, you want to protect him. You already have the weapons because they have Keenan Allen and DJ Moore now. I guess their defense could use a bolstering, but I went Olu just because you want to make your rookie QB as comfortable as possible. And then to the New York Jets, I have Rome Odunze. Uh, they did sign Mike Williams, but I'm not a huge fan of him. He's hurt a lot and everything. They have Garrett Wilson, and I think Rome and Garrett Wilson would just be such an elite
yeah,
duo.
that's
Um,
that's pretty
so I
fair.
went Rome.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I just figured, you've already done a lot on the offensive side of the ball in the offseason for the Bears in terms of getting Keenan Allen and then now drafting Caleb Williams. So I thought address the defensive side a little bit there. Olu at 10, the Jets O line was not very good whatsoever. And obviously, Olu's there. I think the strategy may change if it's not Olu, although, like I said, it is a pretty good offensive line draft of guys like JC Latham, who obviously have it 25. And then as you go down the draft board, We're only doing 10, but JJ, I guess the quarterbacks. I don't have the other ones going in the first round. It stops at JJ to the Vikings because I've heard it so much. Um, and I wouldn't draft him in the first round, but this is just what I'm going with here. And then for Penix and Nix, I know maybe they might go in the first round. I don't see it happening. I really don't think that that's going to happen. And what we saw last year was the some of the quarterbacks go in the first, and then Will Levis fall a lot. And I wouldn't be surprised if the quarterbacks have just been sort of hyped up because they're quarterbacks, and Penix and Nix are not first rounders and potentially mid to late second guys or even thirds as well. Um, yeah, I got Bowers going late, honestly, just because of filling needs for teams. I was like, Brock Bowers, like you said, might be the best player in this draft if it's positionless, no positional value. But I don't know. He just kind of kept slipping, and even I'm not sure the Saints would, Jawan Johnson's okay or whatever, but generational tight end prospect is kind of a guy that a lot of teams would like. And, cause is not necessarily effect or whatever, but you have seen the Patriots with Gronk win a lot of Super Bowls, and then the Chiefs with Kelsey win a lot of Super Bowls. So maybe the key is to go out there and get yourself a big, great tight end. But yeah, take a lot of what I have to say with a grain of salt in terms of NFL draft, in all honesty, this year. I haven't done much scouting just because I've been so locked in on basketball, schoolwork, etc. And so I know a decent amount about guys, not as much as I'd say I usually know, though. But it'll be interesting. I mean, I'll have Nick Sixers on the computer with some of the kids with the draft on them, TV. And outside of the Giants picks, I'm not sure how locked they'll be on the draft, but it'll be a fun time. It always is a great time, especially that hope or dismay you get when knowing your team either uh, killed the draft or killed the draft, where they either did very well or very poorly. And it could be a great night for me if the Knicks win and we don't draft JJ McCarthy and draft Malik or Rome or Marvin Harrison Jr. Or it could be a terrible night for me where we do trade up and draft JJ McCarthy or stay there and draft JJ McCarthy and the Knicks lose. So a lot of things could happen for me on Thursday.
That would be great. But yeah, moving on. I see we both have JJ going 11 to the Vikings. Their QB room sucks right now. Maybe he sits behind Darnold for a year. I have no idea what their plan would be, but if you want to keep Jefferson, you have to try and make a move for quarterback. And then at 12, you have Dallas Turner, so we kind of have them swapped. I had Latu, pretty much the same thing. Falcons and Broncos. I honestly didn't do enough research to know like which one is really better or anything. I just went with the Bama guy earlier because he's from Bama. Uh, and then I went on a run, two back to back more O linemen. Like I said, I have a ton of O linemen in my draft, and for teams that want to play it safe and need a lot, O lineman is always a good bet. So I have the Raiders taking Taliese Fuaga, and then the Saints taking Troy Fatanu, or however you pronounce that, Fatano. Uh, and then I guess I'll do 15 too. Colts. I see we both also have the Colts taking a corner. I have the Colts taking Kenyon Mitchell on like PFF. I'm pretty sure he's the highest rated corner. Maybe Cooper DeJean is higher. I don't know. But I also have Eagles bias of wanting Cooper DeJean to fall to 22, so we can take him.
Yeah, I
Uh,
think I have the Eagles taking
but
a
yeah,
corner. Where are you guys
those are
at?
my
Yeah,
picks
Nate
up to
Wiggins.
15.
There you go. Kenyon going to the Rams there. Yeah, I'm not sure I'd say O lineman in the first round safe, man. As the team who's expended a lot of draft capital in O lineman, you might get Nevin Neal in the top 10. Who knows? Um, but no, yeah, it's definitely a good tackle draft and a good O line draft overall. Some more, I guess, of the key things I got. What's notable? Keon Coleman to the Chiefs, Franklin to the Bills, Brian Thomas Jr. to the Cowboys. Even though, like, I just feel like because of Jerry Jones, they take a receiver, even if they need some other things. Like, it's not Jerry's world if you take an offensive tackle. You're not going to take a center. No, I'm just kidding, which is funny because they did have one of the best offensive lines in the league. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. Cooper DeJean to the Colts, Verse to the Seahawks. I'm a big Jared Verse fan. Um, but no, yeah, I guess Kool Aid to the Vikings is another one that's notable. But yeah, I don't know. Honestly, that's pretty much all I got for this year. I'll probably do more stuff once the Giants actually make our picks.
Yeah. Guess going through my highlights, I have Jared Verse to the Dolphins, Cooper DeJean to the Eagles, Kool Aid I have to the Packers, just because their offense honestly is just so good. Um, and Jair Alexander, I feel like they had some issues with the Packers, some off the field stuff going on. So I have them taking Kool Aid. Brian Thomas to the Buccaneers was kind of like a hot take that I had, just because it's like the what the Seahawks did when taking JSN when they had DK and Lockett. I just think that would be such a Tampa Bay thing to do. I don't know why. Uh, and then I have Xavier Worthy to the Bills. If the Bills don't take a receiver, then their front office is truly stupid.
Yeah, I
And
was
then
talking to a
his running
couple
mate Adonai Mitchell, I have to the
Bills
Chiefs at
fans
30.
today about the prospect of T. Higgins, who is now on the market along with Trey Hendrickson. So that'll be interesting. I don't know how quickly trades like that will get
Yeah,
done, but maybe we'll get a draft day trade where someone trades up in the draft, or the Bengals trade up in the draft using T. Higgins to go get a T. Higgins replacement or something like that. That'd be pretty crazy. They trade up with like the Chargers, give Chargers T. Higgins, and then they go get Malik at 5 or something like that. This is just random ideas out my head, but that'd be pretty cool. T. Higgins, it's interesting for him. The writing is on the wall. In all honesty, it always felt like he'd be the odd man out because Jamar has got to get paid, and then you're not going to pay two wide receiver one money. That just doesn't really happen. Hendrickson's a little bit more interesting to me. Interesting to see what happens with that, especially with Burrow and the Bengals obviously trying to compete with the Chiefs every year. And if that talent gap gets worse with the way the Chiefs operate, it only gets that much harder to beat them.
yeah. I was looking at a mock draft today that had the Niners trading up to 20 for the Steelers pick and giving the Steelers Brandon Ayuk, uh, which was just a very kind of weird concept. I don't know. I think maybe he has some off the field issues too, but it could work. Uh, I have Jackson Powers Johnson, the center to the Steelers, just because they cut their center. I saw, but yeah. On the subject of the Bengals two players, yeah, that's really bad for them. I think that their defense next year might be really really bad. Um, in the past 2 years, they've lost their two best defenders, then Hendrickson and Jesse Bates. We saw Jesse Bates made a huge impact on the Falcons defense. Hendrickson has had like back to back like 12, 13, 14 sack seasons. Uh, so I'm interested to see what their defense does. And then on the offensive side of the ball, they'll be fine without T Higgins. And then yeah, I don't. It'll be interesting to think about where he could go. Certainly, the Chargers would be a landing spot. The Giants could be a landing spot. You never know. The Cardinals have I see they have a second first round pick there at 27. They could potentially use a T Higgins if they some for some reason don't take a receiver at 4. But yeah, I mean, he's obviously a very good player. Uh, top 30 receiver in the league for sure.
Yeah,
So be
that'd be
interesting to
pretty
see where
funny though.
he
You
ends
get
up.
Marv and T. Higgins in one draft. All of a sudden, you're competing for the best receiving classes in the league, meaning you trade for T. Higgins and draft Marv same draft. But no, yeah, not gonna lie, don't really have much more to really say other than it's gonna be a wonderful night. Hopefully, um, only positive thoughts over here for the Giants. And yeah, I mean, I think that's about what I got as far as NFL draft is concerned. A lot of the times when I'm in one league, I'm like really only in that league. So like it's NBA right now, so I'm really only in NBA and not NFL, and vice versa. So that's kind of where my head gets at for those two. That would be
Hey, Heat up
objectively
on the Celtics
hilarious
end of
if
the
they
third
lost the
quarter.
game because it would be so funny to
That's
see the
beautiful.
mad spree on Twitter and things of that nature going, oh my God, Celtics are going to lose to the Heat. Like they can't beat them without Jimmy Butler. Um, and honestly, I'm going to treat, if the Heat can hold on to this game, treat it like they just won the series, if it's me personally. Celtics, frauds, complete. How you not sweep the Butlerless Heat? Even though on the other side, I don't blame the Thunder at all. But it's different. It's different. So, Celtics, frauds.
Yeah, I think even more comically is that today on either Twitter or Instagram, I saw something talking about the odds for the Celtics to win every single home game for the entire playoffs, which is hilarious because and it was only the crazy part was it's only plus 750, and since they have the best record in the league, that would mean you're picking the Celtics to win every home game and win the championship. And 750 does not seem like a ton of value. So it'd be so hilarious if they blow that immediately. Uh, and I was looking at the box score. Tatum and Jaylen Brown have combined for 52 points at the end of three quarters. So, and they're still down six. So it's just this would be so beautiful if the Heat can take any amount of games off the Celtics. That would make me smile. Um, I'm praying on their
Yeah,
downfall.
yeah. Plus, that's another game they got to play,
Uh, yeah,
which makes them
against the
playing
Celtics.
that many more games by the time they get to my team or your team, or potentially a healthy Bucks or Pacers or whatever, which is better, or even past that when they get to the Western Conference champ. So, yeah. What the? Um, but yeah, I think that will probably wrap us up, correct? Yep, okay. So that'll wrap us up for this episode. I do hope you enjoyed. Next
Yep.
week, what is next week? Like what is the day? Ooh, interesting. Um yeah, yeah, it's like the 30th or whatever. So next week will be normal.
Oh,
Like
like 30th,
this kind of
31st.
setup. 2 weeks from now. Wait, wait. Oh, never mind. Not 2 weeks from now. 2 weeks from now, I will probably potentially be different depending on what day we do
Also
it.
be.
I don't know. Uh, actually, 2 weeks from now, yeah, yeah, I will be different. Um, and then 3 weeks from now, we might be a bit different. I don't know how it will adjust after that. We might still end up like this, just in different locations, because that might be the easiest thing. We might go back to those whole live reactions in the studio of a certain basement. But we'll see. A lot more content coming your way. Hopefully, some good NBA playoffs, reactions to the draft next week, potential T. Higgins trades, everything and anything. And that'll be it for us over here at Sportsphere.